In contrast to most native bees, bumblebees share similarities with honeybees as they are social insects that form colonies. Known for their robust and playful nature, they bring a unique charm to the natural world. However, the bumblebee in this particular tale faced a challenging beginning in life. Afflicted by a virus that hindered her ability to fully experience life, this queen bumblebee longed for companionship. Enter Fiona, a young woman with a deep affection for insects who became an unexpected guest in the bee's life. The heartwarming bond that formed between them would touch your soul. Fiona Presley, a library assistant hailing from Ivans in the Scottish Highlands, spent her time tending to her garden and caring for animals during the winter of 2018. The inclement weather prevented her from engaging in activities she cherished, leaving her feeling bored and somewhat discontented. With eager anticipation, she awaited the arrival of spring, a season when nature awakens, adorning the world with vibrant colors and fragrances. During the winter months, Fiona would sit by the window each morning, gazing outside. The pristine white of the snow did not bring her joy. Rather, she yearned for the vibrant transformation that spring promised. So when the long-awaited transition from winter to spring finally arrived, Fiona's heart overflowed with joy and delight. She brightened up from the inside out like a little girl who was just told that she would be visiting Disneyland. When the flowers eventually started to sprout, she got to work on her garden, and what a blessing it was to nurture those flowers to life once again after they had lost their colors and died off during the winter. A few weeks after the start of spring, Fiona was tending her garden when she noticed an insect on the ground right beside her foot. It was a queen bumblebee that looked cold and disoriented. Fiona was alarmed because she could have trampled on it. "Oh, you poor thing. I almost didn't see you," Fiona said as she reached down and picked up the little creature. When she placed the insect on her palm, she noticed that there was something odd about the queen bumblebee. The insect had no wings and her skin seemed like she had sustained some kind of injury. Fiona couldn't help but wonder how the creature had lost her wings had she been in an accident. Fiona didn't want to abandon the helpless insect, not knowing any other way that she could be of help. She decided to offer the bee some sugar water afterward. She placed her on one of the flowers. "There you go, drink as much as you want. I hope you recover and become playful in no time," Fiona said as she fed the bumblebee. A few hours later, Fiona returned to check on the bee and discovered that she hadn't moved from the spot where she had placed her. It was then that Fiona really began to worry about the insect. She had a sense that the bee was shy and lonely. Looking at the sky, Fiona knew that a heavy storm was coming. She didn't want to leave the poor bee out there by herself. She expected that she wouldn't make it if she abandoned her. So she took the bumblebee into her house that evening as she very gently wiped the insect, kept her warm and fed her. She decided to give her a name. "I will call you Bee," Fiona said to the queen bumblebee. "You are unique. Do you know that there are many bumblebees in the world, and all of them I've seen have wings except you? You are a rare, beautiful soul," as if demonstrating that she perfectly understood Fiona. Bee walked a few steps forward. The young woman loved the effort that Bee made and lightened her worry. "At least you're getting better. Perhaps I will put you outside tomorrow," she said. The next day the clouds began towering again and there were sudden wind changes. Seeing this, Fiona knew Bee would be unsafe outdoors, so she kept her inside the house while working in her home study. Fiona's thoughts kept wandering to the bee. Something about the insect evoked pity in her, and she wished she could do more for the helpless insect. She should be flying from flower to flower outdoors, not being stuck inside a house. Fiona thought. Bearing this in mind, Fiona Googled help for wingless bumblebees, and the Bumblebee Conservation Trust website popped up, taking her time. Fiona searched through the website to ensure that they offered the kind of help that poor bee needed. Once she confirmed that they were indeed qualified and competent, after reading reviews and articles on the site, she contacted them and told them about Bee's condition. The workers from the Conservationist Trust informed Fiona that Bee likely had a virus that affected the development of her wings. Because she couldn't fly bees, chances of surviving in the wild were significantly diminished. "So, what will happen to her?" Fiona asked, but she was afraid of the answer. Her heart ached for the poor creature, who she thought was just unfortunate but was really that. Keep watching to discover the unfortunate circumstances that unfold. Despite lacking wings, the bumblebee appears to be in excellent health. The future of her life rests in your hands as you decide how she will spend her remaining days. Upon hearing this, one of the workers from the Conservation Trust responded, prompting Fiona to create a man-made environment. This environment would provide comfort to the bumblebee and grant her the freedom to roam without exposure to danger. The next day, Fiona embarked on a trip to a local florist, acquiring an assortment of flowers and netting. Upon returning home, she diligently assembled the materials, completing her creation within an hour. Proudly, she admired her enclosed private floral buffet, a sanctuary where the bee could enjoy an entire forest all to herself. Impressively, the enclosed space shielded her private garden from winged counterparts, ensuring that the pollen would not be depleted. Fiona recognized that this setup was precisely what the bumblebee needed. With no competition, she could leisurely move from flower to flower, feeding to her heart's content. Truly, the bumblebee was fortunate to have encountered such kindness. Every day, Fiona would visit the bee, attentively checking on her well-being. On unfavorable weather days when the bee seemed lethargic, Fiona would offer her tiny cups of sugar water, ensuring she received the nourishment she needed. She would carry Bee indoors and let her roam in her hands, although Fiona didn't know it yet. She and Bee were becoming almost inseparable, and all of her friends and family could see it. This fuzzy bug had become a source of joy to Fiona, and she brightened her days. Whenever Fiona was sad, she would go to Bee, and the insect had a way of making her dark day seem brighter. They also shared beautiful and happy moments together. Bee was also there with her in her study when she worked. How remarkable, but the most beautiful was yet to happen, and Fiona didn't even see it coming. One morning, Fiona visited Bee as usual, when something quite unexpected but heart-melting happened. Bee eagerly emerged out of her foliage, walked towards Fiona, and climbed into her outstretched hand. "You sure do like my hands, don't you? You're always all over them." Fiona teased once she observed that Bee repeated this behavior consistently. "You seem as happy to see me as I am to see you," Fiona said to the frolicking insect in the palm of her hand multiple times. For reasons Fiona couldn't even explain, Bee seemed to truly enjoy her presence. The sweet creature also seemed to light up whenever Fiona was around to hold her. You see, it didn't matter that Fiona and Bee were a vastly different species. They had an incredible bond and they related to each other perfectly. Bumblebees are social creatures. They live in nests with up to a few hundred fellow bees. So sometimes I feel bad that she, being naturally social, isn't out there exploring the universe with her kind, but I am also glad that I can offer her a meaningful and true friendship. I make sure I am always there for her. Fiona explained, "You see, bumblebees are tied up in the spring and summer with activities such as building a nest, mating, and raising a colony. As autumn arrived, bumblebees approached the end of their lives, with an average lifespan of 18 weeks, roughly equivalent to 4.5 months. Therefore, by the 4th month, Fiona began mentally preparing herself to bid farewell to her cherished companion. However, Bee surprised everyone. Perhaps due to the care, support, and love she received from Fiona, she outlived her mates by an additional half-month. While this may not seem significant to us, it holds considerable meaning within their incredibly short lifespan. 5 months after Fiona rescued Bee, the tiny creature crawled into a human friend's hand and peacefully passed away. Fiona, though aware that this moment would eventually arrive, was overcome with deep sadness. Nonetheless, she found solace in knowing that her love and care had allowed Bee to enjoy a few extra weeks of life. In her garden, beneath Bee's favorite flower, Fiona tenderly laid the queen bee to rest. As she buried her, Fiona expressed her heartfelt sentiments. "It was nice knowing you, Bee. You brought so much sunshine into my life." Their bond was truly a beautiful love story between a selfless woman and a gentle insect. What are your thoughts on this heartwarming story? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Thank you for watching.